have Dr. Neeti, Professor of Finance from Indian Institute of Foreign Trade. Neeti, could you throw some light on how the budgets have evolved over the last 10 years and what do you see coming in the full budget going forward?
Yes, that's a good question because, I think the budgets have evolved in a very interesting way. And, it looks like a very well-oiled process of evolution of the budget. So I think the initial budgets that were presented, the first 5 years of this government were more targeted at reform. And so there were some very basic, issues that were probably holding back the kind of economic growth that India had the potential to achieve. So be it banking balance sheets or be it the, very complex indirect tax regime or be it financial exclusion. So there were issues that, generally people who didn't have much hope for the economy. So the first few reforms were all targeted at, putting the house in order, cleaning up the economy. And I think, what this achieved was like the FM today, she said it herself, profound positive transformation. The budgets that followed were a little more ambitious and, they were more targeted at what India really had the potential to achieve. And remember, these were the next 5 years to 2020 and all were the years we went through COVID. We went through the global financial, not the global financial crisis, but the supply chain disruptions, the Ukraine issue and everything. And despite that, India held up, so we invested in infrastructure. We kind of managed to find our way, grow, follow the goalposts we had set for ourselves. Despite all the chaotic global environment we still are a part of. And so I think the first 5 years of reforms really helped achieve, the growth, the performance that we achieved in the next 5 years. And I think this interim budget, although it's only a, very professionally presented interim budget, it hasn't gone beyond that. And it's obvious it comes from a government which has confidence and conviction in the results that have been shown by its policies and reforms and investments, that this budget is out to, now we're out for transformation. So we're looking at moving India up the global value chain. We're looking at building brand India. So be it through tourism, be it through contribution to, international innovation or whatever it is. So I think that's where the budget is likely to be going forward. And, in today's budget, what I noticed was there was a lot of focus, and we expected that, on the inclusion, empowerment, and well-being of Garib, Mahila, Yuva, Annadata. And so the envisaged Amrit Kal is what is being targeted now. So I think whether it is the focus on growth of MSMEs or simplifying, the processes that are involved in MSME performance, green energy sector, solar, solar energy production, and sharing the benefits of that with households, the EV ecosystem, and then the tourism that we want to partner with the states. The center wants to partner with the states to grow affordable housing, of course, and then self-reliance on oil seeds production, which is very important for our food import bill, agri-processing and robustness of the post-harvest supply chain, then research and innovation in deep tech. It was so encouraging to hear that, in deep tech and in the sunrise sectors, and a fund dedicated to that, I think a 50-year interest-free loan. Then investment in multimodal transport under PM Gati Shakti. So whether it is the railway corridors or whether it is ports or airports or even, better passenger commuting through metros and through more of Vande Bharat trains getting introduced. Stronger blue economy, aquaculture, marine culture, because my understanding is marine culture contributes a large amount to our exports. Bilateral treaties to work on getting more FDI into India. And, of course, the emphasis area, which is more CAPEX, 11.1 trillion. So, not only are we looking at this capex leading to the multiplier effect, but she also said that private investment has grown, and Ayushman Bharat getting more, increasing its coverage. I think everything was in the direction of a more ambitious India. And like she said, I think in her own words, she said, a country where people have hope and purpose. Some words like that, purpose and hope. So that's what I think. That's how I view the evolution. So she said, reform, perform, transform. And that's exactly how the evolution has been.
Neeti, any sectors that you see getting negatively impacted by this budget?
I don't see a negative impact per se, because there was nothing, at least in this interim budget, to indicate that. Of course, if there were people hoping for some tax cuts and all, which it was obviously not coming. But I do see positive impacts for green energy companies, solar energy companies, for companies in the housing finance and housing sector. Woodco had already, I think, started showing a positive, a growth once the budget was announced. And of course, for agri processing companies and for oil seeds and seed companies, yes, or any company related to agriculture for that matter.
How do you think this budget will impact economic growth?
Positively, because capex and efforts to increase the incomes and the well-being of a large section of society, women and youngsters, growing MSMEs. It's all growing MSMEs mean more job, not just growing MSMEs, but more infrastructure expenditure will mean more job creation. So I think the impact is going to be a very positive one.
Neeti, thank you for sharing your perspective.